Okay, people. So I'm delighted to be joined by Yaya Estrada Lowe. Did-
Thank you so much for having me, Kevin.
Fantastic. Did I pronounce your name correctly?
It's Yara.
Yara. Okay.
But
Apologies.
I thought it was cute because all the little kids, in my family can't quite say my name, so they say Yaya. So I'm totally familiar with Yaya as well.
Oh, dear. Oh man, it's like I just struggle with pronunciations.
Okay.
Uh, But yo, so you've got your new film, or should I say your feature directorial debut film dropping real soon, Demise. How
Yes.
does that feel?
It's an outer body experience when you feel like you've reached the top of the mountain, that's for sure.
It's crazy. I watched the film today because I like to, watch it just before a conversation. So everything's fresh in the mind and all of
Yes.
that.
Oh, you saw it. Okay.
But something that really just jumps out with watching this film is you'd never know it's your feature directorial debut.
Oh,
It's
thank you
so
so much.
polished. It's so
Uh,
it's so engrossing and it works so well. Like the transitions, the angles, everything is just really good.
I appreciate that so much. I definitely agonized over every moment of this film, and I was really blessed to have an excellent editor, um, Lawrence Jordan, and so piecing all of this together took us about 9 months. So yeah.
Right, right. Now you've directed some TV, a couple TV things, and you had a short film, right? But that was in 2016.
Right.
So what firstly about that, right? So what was the thing that made you go, I think a feature is next? And then what was the journey from Epic Love, the short, to Demise?
Yeah, so I pretty much learned the basics of directing when I was part of the production team of this internet soap opera. And for Epic Love, we shot the trailer, which is also considered as a short. And, it was always my goal to produce a feature film that I wrote. And so after all the experience that I had working on different sets, I really felt like for Demise that in order for this to be executed the way I see it in my head, then I would have to go in and bite the bullet and direct it myself. And so I kind of just rolled my dice on myself in that moment. So, but yeah, I'm really proud of the film, and I'm really proud of all the team that worked on this movie. And so, yeah.
Okay. Now, was there filmmakers and like writers and people that you aspired to, like looked up to, like you'd be like, oh, I'd like to do something similar to that, or that works really well, yeah, I think that would work in Demise, like what references did you have?
Yeah. So when I was in pre-production with my cinematographer, Justin Aguri, I had him watch all of my favorite 90s romantic thrillers to sort of get a gist of what I was going for in the sense of genre and just an overall, I guess that 90s feel, 80s and 90s feel. And I've always been a fan of the great movies like Sleeping with the Enemy, Basic Instinct, Hand That Rocks the Cradle. So that these movies definitely inspired me to watch Demise. I was watching these movies way back when they came out, and I was just always, you know, I've always really enjoyed watching these films. And so, yeah, that was definitely the inspiration.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. You can see kind of nods to those, like a single white female, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Those kind of
Yeah.
things. But it's got its own style to it as well,
Yeah,
which I
we
think
worked
is
really hard to establish the style and look of the film was really important to me, and the aesthetics of it all. And so definitely didn't happen by chance. It was a lot of prep and discussions of the overall look that we accomplished.
mm. So you had the idea. I mean, actually, yeah, where did the idea for the story come from?
Crazy enough, it's pure fiction and it came straight from my crazy imagination.
I mean, that's good. Because when you first started saying, you're like, crazy enough, I was like, don't say that happened to you. Like,
No,
that'd just be great.
not at
Like,
all.
yo.
I know I was thinking that early on. I'm like, people are gonna think like this is like me in some way, or like I wanted to have like children. No, that's not the case at all. I've never wanted kids, so it's definitely not me.
Okay, that's good because there's some craziness right there. And you'd be like, yo.
Yes.
So like yeah, what was the process in writing? Did it take a long time? How many drafts did we go through?
Yeah, so it took me 3 months to write my first draft of Demise, and it just all came flooding in, and I couldn't type fast enough, and so I would write, overall chunks of different things that I was thinking of, and then I wrote for 3 months straight, and then after that, I had a couple of, well, more than a couple. I would polish it, in the months after that, but it's definitely the fastest screenplay I've ever written. So, yeah, it just kind of all came together.
Right. Interesting. Interesting. Now, with I mean, because there's always something that I've yeah, contemplated, like when I've written certain things that
Hmm.
like if when I was like writing some comedy, and so it's just like, oh, I didn't see that in a special, did I? Or that's no one else's. So when you're writing this, was there any thought that, wait, there wasn't a scene like that in The Hand That Rocked the Cradle, or there was
Right.
nothing like that in like, was that going through your mind a lot of the times?
Yeah, I feel like when I finished writing it, I had to kind of make sure because you are heavily influenced by other things that you watch.
Mm,
And so I just had to kind of make sure that I wasn't reimagining something that was already out there. So thankfully, that wasn't the case.
yeah, I'm watching the film, and I think there's a point where you think, okay, I think I know where it's going. And then then some other stuff happens. You're like, okay, I didn't see that. I did
Yes.
not see that at all.
That makes me very happy because that was definitely my intention. I didn't want to be predictable, and I think that it's more fun when you are unpredictable, as far as writing and executing a film. And so that makes me very happy to hear.
Yeah, yeah, no, you threw some curveballs at me with this one, and it was great. I loved the fact it went in some different places, you know.
Right on.
Yeah, it there was a vibe, like it's completely different, but it just had this reminded me a little bit of a show back in the early 2000s, Sunset Beach.
Okay.
Of
Never never seen it. Hmm.
Yeah, it was this. I don't think it went on for too long. It was like this kind of weird sitcom soap opera type of thing. And there
Got
was
it.
just this kind of like people coming back from like the dead and twins and just all of this kind of craziness. And it was just
Yeah.
like it got real bonkers towards the end. Like a dog was talking to a baby and just all of this kind of stuff. It was real bonkers, but it was
Yeah.
kind of a fun distraction on a Saturday after getting home from work.
Right on. And that's one of the things that scared me the most is the twin factor in the film because there's a very fine line and it has to be executed very well because it can either be really cheesy or you can pull it off. So yeah, we kind of took another risk doing that, but
Oh, I thought that was really just Crystal Hernandez did such a great job
she did.
because both had different personalities, right? You didn't think, oh, wait, you didn't think that. You just like,
Good.
oh, and I was like, oh shit, did they get real twins to do this? Because I honestly thought it must be someone else, right?
Got it. Oh my gosh. Right on. I mean, yes, she did an incredible job, and every actor knows that it's insanely hard to pull off acting twin characters. Wow, yeah, she was great.
Mm, mm. Yeah, like how easy was the casting situation with this? And when you were writing, did you have particular people or looks in mind, or did this purely come from seeing those auditions and go, "Oh no, you're definitely this person."
It was a little bit of both. I definitely had some physical descriptions in the script of what this character looked like. And then we were fortunate enough to work with a great casting company called Stella Nova Casting. And our two casting directors, Nicole Dion and Robin Delano, helped us find our three leads as well as the character Miguel, played by Morris Jude. They helped us with the whole, audition process and everything. And so we found our talent through them.
Right, right. Yeah, no, the cast in this was fantastic. And we had
Thank you.
really good chemistry between these different groups. Like you definitely believed that Miguel and Fiona were great friends, right? And you
Yes.
bought the different relationships, right? Celine and Caleb, and then Fiona and Caleb. They were very
Mm,
different,
right.
which is interesting.
Yeah. And obviously chemistry in a movie like this is extremely important. And so I was happy that not only did all of them hit it off and have great chemistry, but off screen, we were like one big happy family by the time we finished the film. And just a lot of great people on this set with great energy and lovely to work with.
Right. Like, was there anything that you did to help with those dynamics? Like, were there like meals or, other things you give people reference points and
Yeah. So I know definitely Crystal Hernandez and Morris Jude had spent some time together, like grabbing coffee and just getting to know each other a little bit more before we shot the film. And I was super happy about that. Besides that, we did have one table read where all the actors got to meet each other and we all sat down and went through the script and read it together. And besides that, I had a rehearsal with the three lead actors before we shot anything, and we sort of got to work with all the more challenging scenes that day and sort of hammer some details out.
right, right. Like, with the whole casting and everything like that,
Mhm.
in your mind going into it, what was the thing that you were most worried about? And then bringing it all together, actually on set and everything. Like,
Yes.
how
Well,
did it play out?
yeah, I was really worried because I was thinking for the character Celine that, I needed this dynamic actress, like, A-list level of talent, if you know what I mean,
Mm,
to pull this film off because if I wasn't able to get her for X amount of reasons, indie films have a lot of different challenges that we have to overcome, and so I felt that the story itself would just fall flat if I didn't find the right actress to play Celine, because there's so much depth to her, and it takes a talented actress to really bring out those different levels that Celine has. And so when Liz Fenny auditioned and we did the callbacks, I felt really happy about selecting her to be the lead character to play Celine, and then as well as Caleb and Carlo Mendez, who played Caleb, and Crystal Hernandez. So I think it also, instincts plays a thing, and then when you're casting, you're always trying to find, yes, talent, but someone that represents the essence of that character is really important in the casting process.
Yeah, no, I think it's really interesting, the Celine character, because you're with her up to a point, right?
Yes.
And
Hmm.
even when things start to get crazy, you can understand. I mean, once we get to the hospital stuff, then you're just like, okay, now
Yeah.
you've lost me, kid. But up to that, the
Yes.
the TP in the house, and just, although
Hmm.
I'm just like, how did you get that picture there? Like, how did you get that picture there? But you
Right.
can understand why that might happen.
Right.
If it's like when you love someone and they
Hmm.
do something heinous, like that
Hmm.
can mess you up. That can really, destroy your self-worth and belief, and just, you're on this roller coaster. So I think you buy into all of that and how she's kind of shifted. So that was great. And it wasn't crazy, right? It wasn't like, nah, no one's gonna do that. Like, who's
Hmm.
gonna start following someone, and who's gonna, you'd be like,
Right.
yeah, no, that makes sense. And
Right.
so she really has that balance, right? She really walked that line so well.
Hmm.
And
Absolutely.
we see it in with everyone, right? Because Crystal again, when she goes to the restaurant at the beginning, right? You'd
Yes.
be like, yeah, of course someone's going to be frustrated if they've been told this thing over and over again, right? You're
Hmm.
going to be like, wait, what's the deal here? You turn up late, you come at night, we just sleep together. We're not going out, we're not
Right.
doing, so you think, yeah, that obviously people are going to do that. So it was just, you bide all of these scenarios and situations, and the
Mhm.
actors just gave us those emotional beats
Right.
just superbly.
Absolutely. Thank you. I'm so proud of all of them.
Yeah, no, it was, yeah, it's just really good. But when you were thinking about, the structure of the film, was that start always be like, yeah, let's definitely start like this? Or was there other things you were kind of mulling over to be like, all right, maybe we start on a conversation, an argument?
Are you talking about the way the movie started?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I've always pictured that. Yeah, I feel like you really need to grab people's attention in the first minute of a film, and so I that's why I chose, those scenes in the beginning. But yeah, it's just crazy how this story sort of all unraveled in my mind, and so I didn't have too much time to play around with a lot of different scenarios that could or couldn't have happened. So, but the film's 2 hours, so there's a lot packed in there.
yeah. Yeah, but it doesn't feel too long, right?
Good,
Because
thank you.
sometimes you'll watch something and you'll be like, ah, I mean, could have been like half an hour shorter, maybe 20
Right.
minutes. If we just chop that bit out of the middle, or the end could be tighter. I think it makes sense in what's happening, the time frames and everything. And at the end, yo, god damn, we're getting close to the end, and it's just like, yo, what's gonna happen? Where's this gonna It's like at the block party when you see a certain person, it's just like,
Yeah.
oh, who they here for? Like, what's gonna happen? And so you just see these different things, and it's just so you're just gripped. You are so gripped for where this could go.
I'm loving every moment of this, and I'm so happy that you're gripped and that you loved the movie. So there's no better reward than actually accomplishing what the movie's intended, to do and be, which is entertaining. So
Mm, yeah, no, it's definitely entertaining, but because this is your first feature, when you're
yes.
making it after each day, what is that confidence level like? That okay, these that's a great scene. Yes, that will fit in well. That's what we need here. And every day you're compiling all of these components of the film,
Mm-hmm.
but it's putting it all together, right? It's so many times you hear that the film actually finds its voice in the editing room. So it's
Absolutely.
just like you're filming every day, you're getting these solid pieces, but then it's just like, will this work as a whole? Right? So
Mhm.
how confident were you as you're going along that what you have is this great film?
Thank you. Yeah, this is my first time going through the entire editing process. So, in the beginning, it was before I had even started on day one with my editor. I was, a little intimidated at the process that lied ahead, only because I had never done it before, and
Mm,
so. Um, but once my editor sort of put all of the, so what he did was us like when he spent 2 weeks putting all the scenes together in order, and then I got to see all the scenes in order. So that kind of gave me a little bit of ease, knowing that all right, there's a great movie in there. We just have to piece it together and find that heartbeat. And so it was great working with Lawrence Jordan. He's a seasoned editor who spent so many years. He has, you know, a lot of success as an editor in the industry. So I was very happy to have him on board and learn from him as well, because he already has that, eye for the perfect moment and the pacing and everything. And so I caught on pretty quickly with that. And yeah, I learned a lot, that's for sure.
okay. Now, was there ever a worry with some of this because, it's your first time and you're
Hmm.
working with these, seasoned people that understand, how all of this fits together and works. So that
Yeah.
you're wanting to, listen, take people's points of view and suggestions,
Yeah.
but you don't want to lose your vision, right? You don't want to cede over all control. And then the finished thing is like, I mean, it's good, but it's not quite what I had in mind, or I kind of wish it had done this. So, what was that kind of balancing line like? Being like, yeah, no, that's good. That's a good selection, or I like it, but I kind of want to go in this way. So, how did you balance that?
Sure. You know, uh, Thankfully on Demise, I didn't have anyone hovering over me and trying to kind of tear apart my creative sense of direction in this. And so it was just me and my editor and my composer for a solid 9 months together as we worked on post production. And so um, we had so many different cuts of Demise until we finally reached the final cut. But I sort of found my, what do you call it, my flow during the editing process. And so I would spend, a week or two at a time just contemplating different changes that needed to be done in the editing room. And when we got together, I would have like a list full of like hours worth of editing. And so, um, yeah, I was very thankful for all of just how everything went down in all these months, and yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because it's always, something that you wonder about with these things, like how does that all
Yeah,
work, right?
right. And I think every film's different. I mean, I know on other sets, like there's a lot of different creative influences getting in, in the mix of every angle and aspect of things. And I feel like those are also other challenges to overcome. But thankfully on our film, I mean, it was just me literally and the group. So yeah.
So do you storyboard, or what kind of approach did you take to having your vision kind of put down on paper, as it were?
Yeah, so we didn't have a big budget to do any storyboarding, but before we shot anything, I spent so much time with my cinematographer, and um, we shot this very, very quickly in considering, how long how many pages we had to shoot per day. But I did look at like different noir films from the past, and I just love old style of different shots, and I sort of got inspiration from that as far as like the shot list of what I like to see as far as like framing and all that stuff. So, but yeah, I didn't we didn't do any storyboarding. We just kind of established the style and look and paired that with my shot list. And I'm sure you saw in the movie that we had a few specialty shots like the super zoom,
Hmm.
shots and things like that. So it was so much fun.
Hey, you went to so many locations,
Yes,
which
so
is
many
which is
locations.
just like I'm watching, being like, "Yo, they are living, man. They're going all over the place." We're in the hospital, we're in the block party, we're in like this
Yes.
house, this place,
Hmm.
that place. It's just like, how was that? Because a lot of times when
Yeah.
talking to a first time director, they're like, "Oh, we wanted to make sure not many locations, make it easy," right? And then you're like, "How many locations can we have? I want more."
I think there was a solid, I want to say like 22
Yo.
locations. Yeah. And let me tell you, it was like Tetris trying to schedule it all and put it together without having these company moves during our shoot because you
Mm.
spend too much time if you have to hop locations in one day. But yeah, I of course, in my imagination, I'm like, no, we need all these houses and we need New York and we need everything. So yeah, I just wanted the world to feel real and a little bit bigger than just, two or three backdrops. So
Yeah, no, it definitely felt real. It definitely felt we're in a real place and traveling and moving around and doing
good.
things like Fashion Week as well. Like,
Yeah. Yeah, I gotta keep it exciting.
mm, yeah, because you have that whole fashion element, right?
Yeah.
So with that, are you working with like designers,
Yeah.
students? Like, yeah, how did you get like those great kind of looks in the film?
Yeah. Fashion is definitely a character in the movie. And I was just thinking, looking at the budget and seeing all the fashion that I wanted, it wasn't adding up. And so I went down to the what is it, Los Angeles Film Institution in downtown LA. And I was like, hey, maybe there's some graduates that want to be on board with this film. I'm sure they have collections already, in their
Yeah.
studios. And so I physically went down there with my producing partner, like, hey, I know you guys don't know who I am. And I know you probably, know that a lot of people film in LA movies, but let me tell you something. I need one of your students to be on my movie that has a collection. And so thankfully, after harassing them a little bit, I got to the head of, I forget her name, but she referred this incredibly talented fashion designer that was like an alumni there. And she was like, call this guy Rodrigo, he's your guy. And so I was talking with him, and he already had the fashion line already made, the
Oh,
one that you see in the film.
right.
So we used his collection as Spark Fashion Line in the movie. And then our head wardrobe, Victoria, she was also great. She had a great collection of a lot of different styles and looks. And she's a fashion girl herself. So she had a lot of fun dressing the twins and Celine and everything. So it all worked out.
I mean, it is a great advertisement to this guy's work because you
Yeah.
see dresses and other things, and you're like, yo, that's you know what I mean? That's like, whoa.
Yeah, I know. I feel like this film, there's so many different departments and people that worked on the movie, and it was like their first movie. Like Rodrigo, this was his first feature film that he worked on, and there was a lot of firsts. So
Right.
everyone's definitely banking on this movie to be a hit and propel our careers to the sky.
Well,
Fingers crossed.
no, no, no. You don't have to cross your fingers.
You never know.
No, 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 not at all. Because you can see the polish. That's the thing, right? Even if, say, noirs and, romance, and that isn't your thing, you can still look at it and go, that is really well put together. This is
Oh,
crafted really well. It's like with music, and there's, you've got your favorite bands and groups and artists and all of that. And you might hear something and be like, that's not for me. But you'd be like, man, but I love that intro. Or, oh, that bridge part is so good. And the way they blend the beat with that, you can still look at it and go, that's really well done. So I think even if the genre isn't for people, there's no doubt people will look at the Demise and go, we need to get these people on our projects because it's honestly, and it's not. Listen, we would if I didn't like the film, we'd still have a conversation, but it wouldn't be this conversation. So I'm not just saying this because you're in front of me right now. I honestly thought this was a really good film and really well put together, and all the components. There wasn't, when you sometimes you'd be like, man, it was well shot, but the dialogue a little bit all over the place, or the ending. They shame they didn't nail the end. No, just all of it is a great showcase for
Thank,
you.
thank you so much. That's just like the best compliment ever because I mean, wow, it's just, thousands of hours and a couple years being spent on this. I think it's around like 3 years now. So it definitely means a lot. And yeah, I definitely made sure that all those small details, were worked out and yeah, having a great team is definitely the key to success for sure.
Mm, yeah, no, and you can see that, right? I think it shows that you've all come together and you've done it. You've done it, and that's just incredible. Because I
Thank
think it's easy to talk about something, right?
Mhm.
And be like, oh, I like that or I didn't like that, but it's doing it, right? It's
Right.
doing the thing and having that courage to step up and do the thing. So, man, like you can
Mhm.
only be like, yo, mad props for
Mhm.
having the vision and following it through.
Thank you so much. This is an absolute dream to do, and I've dreamt about making my own films my whole life, and so yeah, I'm definitely grateful and happy that I get to share it with the world, and hopefully there'll be more to come. So
Mm. Like, what was? Can you remember the the moment you thought, I want to get into film? Like, was there a certain film you watched as a kid, or a conversation you had? Like, what was the genesis for this?
sure. So growing up, I always loved to act, right? And so I started acting at a young age in a local theatrical production, and so all throughout my childhood, I would, do skits with my friends, and we would do these audio recordings pretending like we're on a talk show. So I've always had a passion of like entertaining and just doing it, whether if it was dancing or whatever. And so I've always had a love for the arts. And um, then as I grew up as a teenager, one of a couple of my uncles got those old school camcorders to film the family parties. And
Right,
so
right.
once I discovered that around age 10, I was like, oh, hold up, let me see. This is a whole different thing. This is not acting, this is something else. And so I got a hold of those cameras really quick, and my mind opened up to just a whole other world. And so I was always volunteering to film the family parties. And so once I moved to LA, I moved here just for acting, but I soon realized that if I really wanted to make it in this industry, that I was going to have to create the path for myself, because no one else is going to give me that chance or opportunity. And so I definitely worked my ass off and never gave up. And that's the thing, it's just too easy to give up. So I stayed on it and was persistent, and here we are, years later.
Mm, yeah, for sure.
Or I
But
should say decades later.
because there are knockbacks, right? There are, those moments where it looks like it's not gonna happen. So
Yes.
how did you stay motivated?
Oh, so challenging. The thing is, like, everybody, I guess you just really have to dig deep down inside of you and stay true to your purpose in life. And I feel like part of my purpose in life is to do this and to work in this field and to bring stories and entertainment to the world. And it's such a big dream to go after and pursue. And I just kind of ignored the noise after a while when people would ask, is there something else you want to do? You're good at this. Well, why don't you try that? Or, just come home.
Mm.
So just staying true to who you are and sticking through it. And of course, I believe in God, and I would talk to him and pray and just, I can't do anything in this life without God. And so having that strength in my faith definitely helped me uh, get to this point.
Right. Now,
Mhm.
with growing up and acting and doing all of those things, and see then getting the cameras and all of that kind of stuff,
Mhm.
what, like, did you ever think that there'd be barriers, right? Like, because I think now there's a lot of talk about representation, but growing
Mhm.
up, no talk about representation. There was
No.
nothing. It was
Oh,
just like, oh, I mean, that film's groundbreaking. They've got a few minorities as background actors. And it's, oh, be thankful. You know what I mean?
right.
That's what it was. And people didn't, I remember having a conversation once with this girl. it's actually a first date that was not great, but she was just like, "Oh, Friends is my favorite TV show," and I'm like, "Did you not wonder the fact that New York is a diverse spot, but there was hardly any diversity in Friends. There was odd girlfriend, but that was it." She's like, "No, no, 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 no. There was more diversity." And she was telling me all of this, and I'm just like, I don't think so. And then during the pandemic, you have the Friends cast going, "I think if we did it again, we definitely do more, and we need to do this, and we didn't do that." And I'm just like, yeah, because it wasn't right. But those were the kind of things that we grew up with.
Right.
So it's like, because now people often say that you need to see yourself to be able to believe that you could do it, but
Mhm.
we didn't have that. So
Nope.
it's just like, what was the thing that made you go, "I can do this? Yeah,
Yeah.
I want to do this. I want to be in that spot."
Yeah. Well, if we're talking about all the years growing up, definitely having a strong family and a very incredibly amazing father in my life who encouraged me that if I wanted to grow up and be an actress, that I can do it. And so definitely my family gave me the encouragement of, not backing down because of XYZ. This is your only chance in this life. You got to do what you want to do
Mm,
to truly be satisfied and whole with yourself. And so just having that positivity with, all of like tons of aunts and uncles, and they were always, right by my side through everything. And so having that family support has definitely been a huge part in who I am. And so that's 100% for sure.
that's great. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's so important, having a support system
Yes.
to keep you motivated, to like be your cheerleaders when you need that little boost sometimes, right?
Yeah.
That assurance that you're not crazy, that you can do
Yes.
that thing.
Yes. Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's great. But one thing I did see, like with a lot of the talk around this film,
Mm-hmm.
it is about the fact that the diversity of the film,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
Which is a great thing. And I do love watching a film where we get to see different voices,
Yeah.
right? I watched Joyride the other day, Adele Lim's film, and man, I laughed so hard. Oh my god, I laughed so hard. It was legitimately funny. And you can, we've seen those films time and time again, like Euro Trip and
Mm-hmm.
American Pie and just all of these different things. And it gets to a point where it becomes same old,
Right.
right? But then when you get to see these new voices, new
Mm-hmm.
people come through and do their thing, it's just like, this is great. Oh my gosh, this is so good. So, you know what I mean? Like, I think with this, right, it's a diverse cast, which
Mm-hmm.
I think is great. Diverse behind the camera, fantastic. That doesn't
Mm-hmm.
always mean it's going to be a great film,
Right.
right? Doesn't always mean the story's going to be good. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I love that. But for me, the big thing was that, you know, a first time director can come in and hit so hard, right?
Oh, thank you so much.
But it's just like it's the perfect advertisement
Mhm.
for the removal of barriers,
Yeah,
right?
I think
Because
so.
we see, a lot of these same old, you know, voices, right?
Mhm.
When you see a film, and we can take animation for one thing. Like so many films and animated films, they'll have a similar voice cast, and it's just like using this person again and that person again, and you just be like,
Right.
hey, let's get some new people here, let's get some fresh
Yeah,
blood. you know?
Mhm.
So it's just like when you get to see a fresh voice, fresh faces, you get something great. You know what I mean? And it's been demonstrated time and time again. Like
Mhm.
Felicia Pride had Really Love, which is, oh, man, it's such a great film. It's very reminiscent to Love Jones. I feel it's like this generation's Love Jones, right?
Mhm.
So you have things like that, right? There's
Yeah.
a film called Blonde Purple from a guy called Marcus Fleming, and
Mhm.
oh, it was so good. It kind of reminded me. It's not the same, but it's like Wesley Snipes' Inside Man. You know what I
Okay.
mean? And so, but people wouldn't know who Felicia Marcus is, right? They wouldn't know who Adele Lim is.
Mhm.
But they have delivered these great pieces of work, you
Mhm.
know? And now
Yeah.
you've come along and you've brought us Demise, and it's just like it's showing that stop holding people back, right? Stop with all of this nonsense that you're not financing this one because, oh, we don't know if a black audience, we don't know if a Latino audience will come to the
Mhm.
cinema and support this, and oh, we
Mhm.
don't think these faces can sell a film and get people to,
Right.
you know what I mean? It's
Right.
ridiculous.
Yeah, because
We
you
know
hear so
it.
much of that, and the thing that I'm really proud of this story of Demise is that we kind of push in a sense where you're creating something you don't even think about race or anything, and if someone like me, a Latina, is writing a story, well, naturally I'm going to write characters that are Latino because that's who I am. It's part of who I am and what
Hmm.
I want to see, and so it definitely comes organically and not by force, if that makes sense. It all starts with the script, and so if no one's purchasing films from Latino writers, then you're not going to really get, an organic story that has Latino characters if there aren't many writers out there that are getting their movies produced. So,
Yeah. Yeah,
mhm.
because a lot of times when you see something and it's got, they've tried to make it diverse,
You
like
can see the try on screen.
yeah. I know because it can really come off as forced.
Absolutely.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Or like people talking in a certain way, acting in it oftentimes reminds me of like Dawson's Creek, where everyone talked in the same way. And I'm just like, when you've got a friend group, not everyone talks exactly in the same kind of sentence structure, right? You
Yes.
can have different people here, but
Mhm.
everyone will be exactly the same. And it's just like, that's kind of weird. That doesn't kind of work that well.
Right, right, totally.
So yeah, it's a good thing to see. Like, but what was that like? Was there pushback? Was there difficulty selling the film? Getting financing for the
Yeah,
film?
yeah, and so one of the things that I would tell people before we even shot anything was like, you know, I'm Latina and I was born and raised in California, and my walk of life is different than maybe a Latino who doesn't live in the United States. And so I would tell people, yeah, this movie is Latino forward, as they call it these days, but it's mainstream. This is just an erotic love triangle thriller, and it's story driven, opposed to picking and pulling and trying to like create a puzzle out of various pieces of things in today's society that you feel are going to make you reach the top. It's sort of like this is sort of like a reflection on just how I see Latino culture. I mean, we're Americans.
Mm,
We are fashion designers sometimes. We are, this. We're not always, the positions that are portrayed in many films. The gardener, the maid. It's like the same roles, and these are the kinds of roles that I would audition for when I was acting. And so I was just like, where are the lead parts? And
Yeah.
I don't think there are any lead parts for someone like me. And if there were, they were only going to like the top two actresses at the time. And so
Hmm.
I found all this out very quickly.
I know yeah, it's kind of crazy. I forget who I was talking to recently, but it's like in films, I think the only people with albinism that I've seen of like bad guys, right?
Oh,
You're
yeah.
a henchman, you're an
Yes.
evil, genius, or kind
Drug
of thing.
dealer, the
Yeah.
gang bangers.
Like there's no superhero. There's
Right.
no one
I
like
mean, they just barely made one, the movie Blue Beetle. I'm like, well, finally, there we go. Let's start doing something here. Um, yeah, and the funny thing is, like, all these stereotypes are always out there. But in all honesty, like, I don't know any drug dealers. Like, I don't know these people like that are always on screen, and so it's very interesting. And so that's why in Demise, everyone's sort of like, you know, very high end sometimes, and just, yeah, just came out naturally. So
yeah. No, that's the thing. I think it's important to see different people, right? And people doing different professions, right?
yeah.
And I was having a great conversation with a filmmaker, Daniel Glenn Barber, recently about film and the fact that we're talking about some projects, and he's just like, but people probably just gonna think it's a hood film, right? And I'm just like, yeah, but I think it's the way you frame things, right? Because it's
Mhm.
just like no one looked at Moonlight and was just like, oh, that's a hood film, that's a streaming
Right.
film. And I think it's sometimes it's the way you frame it, it's the people that are behind it. But it's just
Mhm.
like we have so many different stories,
Mhm.
we don't have to pigeonhole them, right? You
Right.
don't have to go, oh, it has to be this, right?
Mhm.
It has to be that. I remember going to a talk with John Singleton, and he was just like, he'd after Menace, like going to studios, and they're like, we want another gang film. That's the only thing we're gonna finance, right?
Right.
And you like, it's so crazy sometimes, but it's just like, being able to tell this story,
Mhm.
that's the great thing. There's when you reference some of the films that you watched as a kid, right?
Mhm.
They're predominantly white. I mean, not even predominantly. They were
Right.
just
That's
all
true.
white casts and all of this, which that's fine, right? But it's just
Mhm.
let's throw some different things in there, you know?
Mhm. Mhm. Right.
So that's where it gets interesting because I remember watching Shortcomings at
Mhm.
the last year's London Film Festival, and it's a kind of an indie romance film, but we're seeing you know this Asian cast
Mhm.
having these conversations and different things that were different from that same film with a white cast, right? Because it's different experiences.
Right.
So you're
Mhm.
touching on these different elements and things, and you're like, oh, that's really hadn't thought of that, or oh,
Mhm.
that's interesting, right? So I think that's the beauty of diverse storytelling.
I 100% agree. Absolutely.
Yeah. No, it's just yeah, sorry. I think I just talked to you for a little
Fine.
while.
Totally fine. You're good.
Oh man. But Demise is just about to drop. You had your premiere
Yeah.
the other day. What was that
Wow, it was amazing. It was just a surreal moment, and definitely an outer body experience, sitting in the theater watching the live reactions of gasps and sighs and laughs and hollers and the whole nine. So yeah, it was an incredible thing to see this film on the big screen and have everyone there and all the cast there, and we had a great time.
Oh, outstanding. Like, did people react to the moment you were hoping they were going to react to, and in the way you were hoping they were going to?
And then some. Yeah. I mean, I was so taken aback by how emotionally people were just so invested in the story and characters, to the point where, they didn't care if they were just yelling things out at the screen. It was just like it was in them and they needed to get it out. And like, I was like, yeah, like if you think that's funny, go ahead and laugh. Like, I want to hear it all. And so I was just sitting there next to my DP, Justin, and we're just kind of getting a kick out of all of these reactions. And, there's a few funny moments in there as well. And so I was really happy to hear the laughs that came about for the funny lines that character Miguel has in the film. And so,
Mm.
yeah, yeah, it was
Oh,
great. It
man.
was
Oh,
great.
fantastic. Fantastic. Yo, how was that cake, by the way? Like, did you all eat that cake?
I think they did. Yeah, I think they did, because it was like a freshly bought cake, and then Cheryl, our caterer, was like writing the writing the boy's mind on there, and very very funny. Yeah.
Oh, man. Oh, that's fantastic. Was that the first time you'd all seen it on a big screen?
No, we actually had a cast and crew screening last summer where we invited the entire crew and the entire cast, and everybody that played every role. Like, all of them were there, and we're just at that point, before we had found distribution, we wanted to see what everyone thought of the movie that we worked so hard on, and so they all came to that. And then our premiere was more like press and marketing based, to kind of create the buzz for the film. And yeah, so everybody saw what we did, and we're very happy that they loved it. So
Awesome. Awesome. I think, the big question after everyone has watched this, I mean, there are a few questions. There are a few questions. But because in the press kit, it says you've been writing, right? You've
yeah,
been writing.
yes.
So when are we gonna see the sequel?
I know. So the thing is, I was like, for the sequel, I want to level everything up, level up the fashion, level up the sex, level up the settings. Like, let's go to Paris. Like, I have an outline already of a story. I haven't written it yet. But the only way that this sequel will be made is if a studio were to finance the film, because the ideas that I have in my mind, they're not for the indie realm. So yeah, but hopefully after I finish up this Christmas romance screenplay that I'm working on, after that's done, then I'll start on the sequel of Demise. But I don't know how many years it's going to be until we get to do this, but we'll see.
That's not the answer I'm looking for, right? I'm looking for, we're
I
gonna
wish
do
I
it
can
soon.
say yes. Somebody already asked me, and they want to finance this project for $10 million. But you never
But
know.
nah, after, watching it, I did, when I was doing my review, I said, right, that listen, people are gonna watch this and they will be throwing money at you to do
I
this sequel because it's so good, right?
Oh,
It is so good. So everyone's gonna want to see this sequel. I feel financing will not be as hard as it might have been to get this one off the ground because god Bam. And we're left in this place where it's just like, but what's gonna come next? Right? Where are we going? Like, she's
Yeah.
here, he's here, like, what's happening? So
Yeah.
yeah, I think people definitely will be wanting part two.
I hope so.
And Paris is very close to the UK. Just remember that.
Is
Okay.
that where you're based?
Yeah, yeah, I'm in London.
Okay, well, you're gonna have to help us on the sequel, so
I'm just a phone call away.
I'm gonna remember this, Kevin.
Oh man. Okay, so we got to wait a little bit for the sequel. But
Yes.
what what does the future look like? What you say, you've got a Christmas piece.
Mhm.
So where are we with that one?
Yeah, so I guess my goal is to direct other people's projects, as well as get my other scripts produced, like the Christmas Romance, and then the feature of Epic Love, since we only shot the trailer. But yeah, I guess the next step for me is to find an agent and a manager to, hopefully get some more gigs. And, the thing with directing, the more you do it, the better you get. And I just hope to keep learning and getting better at this whole thing. So, yeah.
Well, I mean, you have definitely set your what I mean, your benchmark real high with this one. I think, yeah, I get to see people just clamoring to work with you, right? I think the thing that you probably the biggest thing you have to just think about is genres, right? Like, what genres do you want to play in?
Yeah.
You can stick to the kind of romance type of thing, or have you got
Mhm.
a western in mind, a sci-fi, a fantasy? Like,
Mhm.
what can you see in that
Yeah.
regard?
I think so far, I guess where I am now, I gravitate towards either the, dark love stories or rom-coms. So anything that has to do with relationship, love, I'm just there. But you never know what the future has in store, and different genres that I might do. So yeah.
Hmm. Well, yeah, definitely intrigued, and it's good, as I say, it's good to see a different type of romance film. And one thing which I loved about this
Hmm.
is the conversations with the friends, right? Because in a lot of films you have people acting a certain way and no one comments, right?
Right,
And like,
right.
I've had friends like say certain things to me, and I'm like, yo, what about your fucking girlfriend, man? Like,
Yeah.
what about you? How are you doing that? But you don't often see that. So when Fiona's talking to Miguel and he's just like, yeah, what did you think was gonna happen? I was just like, yes. Oh, oh good. We're having a proper conversation here, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, those things mean a lot to me because a lot of the times, like I guess in the technical aspects of screenwriting, they people in the industry love to say, well, every scene needs to have a purpose and every scene needs to push the story through. I don't believe that. I feel that when you are storytelling, when you're doing a cinematic storytelling, you have to make it real and relatable to the viewer. And
Mm,
naturally, when all of us go through something, we're calling that cousin, we're calling our friend, we're calling that person. And so even though those moments throughout the film doesn't necessarily push the story forward, it helps it feel so much, more rounded than not having them.
yeah, no, it's everyone gets fleshed out, I think we are dealing with three-dimensional characters here.
Hmm.
So that was Yeah, that worked really well. And even the flashback scenes, man, they were, in the right places.
Thank
It didn't hinder the film. It just, you're like, "Oh, that's how that happened. That's how they got to
Yeah,
there.
yeah,
Oh, okay." So yeah,
yeah.
all of that, just
Thank you.
to say all of these components work so well. So,
Yeah, and I will tell you that you'll never believe this, but I didn't let any outside professionals read Demise before we shot it
oh,
because I was just so afraid that someone would just pick and pull and make me doubt what's in there. And
mm,
I didn't want that to happen. And so, yeah, I didn't get any feedback from anybody. And hardly anybody read the script besides the actors that shot it and my producers. So it was a very, secretive thing that we had going on. Like, we can't really ask for anyone's opinion on this movie. It's go time. I have no time to like wonder if this is good or not. I feel it's good. I'm going with that. So
well,
yeah,
it worked. It
thank
worked. It didn't lead to the film's demise. Yeah.
thank you.
No, but I think there's something to that, right? Because it's trusting in you, it's banking on you, right? You put
Mhm,
all of those chips in your corner, and we're like, yo,
mhm.
I'm betting on myself here. And
Yes.
and there's something magical about that, right? And it worked. It paid off. So congratulations.
Thank you so much. I
And
appreciate
no,
that. I'm yeah, very proud of this and the whole team and yeah.
so you should be. So you should be. So how can people keep track of everything you're doing and support the film?
Yeah, well, if anyone's on social media, like half the world is, so I'm sure you guys are, you can find our film page on Instagram, Demise the Film, and then you can find me on Instagram, Yara Estrada _Lowe. That's Yara. And then besides that, the film's coming out on February 27th. You can find it on Amazon Prime, Apple TV, Vudu, as well as on demand, Comcast, AT&T, Spectrum, DirecTV, and the film's being distributed by Gravitas Ventures.
Boom. You heard it here, people. So all the links will be on the website. So make sure you go, you follow ya, you go check out the film. Mark the 27th on the calendar because you do not want to miss it. It is tremendous. It is really tremendous, and you will be gripped all the way through. So get some eyes in your life, people. No, yeah. Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. The opportunity to watch your film, I really loved it. And I'm really looking forward to seeing what you do next and having a follow up conversation.
Absolutely. Thanks so much, Kevin. This was lovely. It was lovely talking with you. And yes, I will keep you updated.
Outstanding. All right. You take care. Okay.
You as well.
All right.
Bye.